going before we started stream. Rowe, how are you doing today? One second. I think you are muted here. All right, chat, talk for
Test,
me one more
test.
time. There we go. Rowe is in the
There we
building.
go.
We are cooking. We are getting ready to go over some things coming to Smite 2 in the very near future. The team is working on Open Beta 3, so you might have keened it on social media. But we're going to be talking about Achilles today in
hmm
Smite 2. Rowe, of course, ran point on Achilles, so we're super excited to show off Achilles in game. But before we get to that, we did want to talk briefly about our Friday show, right, Rowe? We talked a little
Yeah.
bit about some of the balance that was coming, but just wanted to give you all an update. We posted it out on social media, but got a lot of community feedback after that show. So we're going to take in some time going through all that feedback. All that balance is not live yet. We did push out the nerfs for Jingwei and Aladdin, but some of
hmm
the other stuff, the team is kind of going back to the drawing board and kind of taking into account that community feedback before we push any more changes out. Right, Ro?
Yeah, I appreciate it. It was kind of like a lucky accident. We were delayed in releasing our patch, but we still got to show it off early, and we got that feedback, and now we can adjust thanks to the feedback. So hopefully the patch will be even more perfect. We still want to get some like emergency type of hotfix balance out there. So like we've had a lot of feedback on Humbats, for
Yeah.
example. We'd like to do that as soon as possible. The rest of the stuff may take a little longer, may release with the next big patch.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, Hunbats is definitely on the radar. I've heard some talks about some changes to Screech and Gargoyle as well that
That's
the
right.
team is
Yep.
looking at. But just some of those biggest points of community feedback we're going to try and get out to players as soon as possible. But in terms of like the big, larger balance patch, still cooking a little bit, but should be out a little bit towards Open Beta 3. But without further ado, Ro, let's talk about Achilles, shall we?
Yeah, so Achilles, I was taking point on. Pretty exciting. I played a decent amount of Achilles in Smite 1. Kind of nervous about this god to
Yeah.
begin with. He's got such a tenured time in Smite, first of all, but also a very full kit. And when we approach gods in Smite 2, we want to do plus ones, we want to do aspects, we want to add a lot to the god to really make it feel like Smite 2. But he was a very complete god, He's got
Yeah.
two different armor stances, which already kind of gives him different play styles. Got a bunch of different abilities, got his refire and his ultimate, a pretty unique passive where you get a targeter on your passive in base.
Yeah.
So pretty intimidating god to come up and develop myself, but I think it's gone really well. I'm really excited to show it all off.
Sweet. Well, without further ado, let me bring up the handy dandy laptop here. And we can just go through Achilles one by one and go through all the abilities.
Yep,
We have Achilles in Smite 2. Chat should be
there
able
we
to
do.
see all this.
Yep, so we of course still have his long range basic attacks. Got his passive meter there, looking nice and new. Indicate all the stats you're getting and the state of your armor state that you're in. So you've got your armor on there. All new shiny icons as well, which is pretty
Oh, yeah.
exciting.
I didn't even
Yeah,
notice that at first.
yeah, big glow up on his two as well. We took like basically a screenshot of his AO2 animation, and got the shot from behind him, and Marilyn made some amazing art out of it.
This is awesome. Sweet. Well, I'll fire all the abilities out really quick.
Yep, already a little sneak peek there of one of his plus
There
ones.
we go. And then, of course, as you said in base, you've got the passive you can change.
Yep,
We'll go no
armor
armor
off.
mode for a little bit.
Sure.
Sweet. Well, I guess let's go ahead and start with the passive, bro. What's going on with Achilles' passive?
So the passive is a difficult one to start with because we're kind of
Yeah,
flowing it into the rest of the kit
that's
some more.
true.
So the general theming for the biggest part of his plus one here is that your armor state matters more. So your other abilities will gain more or lose effects based on whether or not you have your armor on and off. So in this description, you can see there's little icons there for your armor off or your shield and spear basically. That'll help you throughout the rest of the descriptions as well. But any of this kind of green, blue, teal coloring text you'll see for the health and protections there, that's your armor on. And then the more brown, orange, that's your armor off. So same as Smite 1, health and protections, it's just tanky stats while you've got your armor on.
Yeah.
And then when you've got your armor off, you've got your strength and your movement speed, all scales per level.
Awesome, awesome. All right, well, let's talk about ability one, which is, of course, the tried and true
hmm
Shield of
Yep,
Achilles.
that's right. So again, trying to hit Smite 1 parity with all this stuff. So the biggest changes here. So I'll go back to Smite 1 for a second. So when he kind of spins his shield around and then radiates this force outward, it's a rolling cone is what we call it, or a changing collision size. So if you were to line up a full wave, it hit one of them at a time, basically. It would do 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 do. And that sound effect is really satisfying. So we've kept that. One change we've made there is that small cone area, if you bring up your target or when it's back up, that'll actually be instant now. So no matter what, you'll get that stun very quickly. That's the biggest stun range and the highest damaging range. In that small cone will be instant. Everything after that is kind of the rolling cone. Yep. So yeah. Yes, yeah. Just a little, makes it a bit snappier, that's all. So if you want to bring up the description as well,
yep.
We'll show. Yeah, so we've got a lot more here. Still got the decreased damage when they're in the rolling part of the cone, the increased damage on, I would say minions, but it's all non-god targets, so it helps him with his clear a lot. That was kind of I don't want to say a late addition to Smite 1, but towards, more recent years in Smite 1. But the +1 here, and then you'll see this throughout the rest of the kit as well, is the last dot point of the short description there, which isn't very short in this case, but you'll see the green and the brown, which you should be looking out for. So the increased stun duration when you're armored, and increased scaling duration, or increased strength scaling when you're unarmored. So in Smite 1, for almost all gods and all effects, we've tried to scale down some CC. So his base stun duration, if I remember correctly, in Smite 1 was 1 second. We've lowered that to 0.8, just in line with how we're reducing CC across the board in Smite 1. But we want to reward you in different ways for having your armor on or armor off. So if you have your armor on, you get an increased stun duration there. So you see bonus stun duration at 0.2 brings it back up to that 1 second. And that's your reward for keeping your armor on and basically your shield being more powerful. Yeah. And then the opposite side of that is your armor off. You'll do extra damage, so 15% extra scaling with your armor off. So yeah, just basically index more on that passive. Feel more offensive when you have your armor off, and a little more utility or defensive focused with your armor on.
Nice, just giving you a little bit more choice depending on whether you want to play unarmored or with the armor on.
That's right.
All right, next up is Radiant Glory. What's going on with the 2, Rowe?
Here we go. Pretty much the same as Smite 1 again, except the +1. So the +1, with your armor on, you will gain a physical shield. So if you think of Hecate, where she gains a magical shield with her third ability, you actually gain a physical shield. So quite good in solo lane, where most gods physical typically. And if you pop it, you'll see a little physical shield coloration on your bar there as well. Oh, you've got your armor off, so you won't see it just yet. But if you put your armor on and then use it when it's back off cooldown, yep, go ahead.
Oh, there nice, you go. You've brown. Yeah, I like that.
That's right. Yeah, so that's your physical shield. And if you didn't realize how that works, for example, with Hecate, only physical damage will damage that shield. All other damage will, basically, the shield isn't there. Same way with Hecate with its magical damage. Yeah. Yep. And then if your armor is off, we want to really promote kind of this Achilles jungle or Achilles assassin style, where you get behind your opponent and deal more damage. So what you do with this is if you hit an opponent from behind, so think kind of like Loki passive, while you've got that 2 active, it'll shred their protections. Yeah, and you hear that little sound effect there. You're shredding their protections. That scales, I think, 1 per level. So 20 protections taking away from the target. That's not just for you. That's taking it away from the target. So everybody will deal more damage to that target because you're taking away their protections. And so that's just basically to encourage you to step around, dash around the target, get behind them, and steal their protections. Not steal, but take away their protections.
Right. All right, moving on to combat dodge. The third ability.
Yeah, this one is a fun one. So we've made the stab when you've got your armor on actually slow. And then you can obviously stab them twice. If you hit a god and get that reset, you can stab again. So we've made that slow stacking as well. So if you stab them once, they'll be slowed by 7.5%. Stab them again, that doubles up to 15. Just allows you to keep up with your opponent, or allows other people to catch up to your opponent. So again, armor on is kind of utility tankiness. Armor off will be damage. So your armor off in this case, to kind of promote this, like we're talking about with the 2, to get behind your opponent and just move around faster. The dash itself will be about twice the speed. So if you dash now, it's very quick.
Oh, that's zooming.
Yeah, exactly. So double speed on that dash, allow you to get behind that opponent and then take away their protections with the next hit. So the stab or any basic attack that you want to do. So again, just kind of promotes maybe Achilles jungle, maybe just a really offensive early game. Achilles in the solo lane going for those kills. It's just a very, very fast dash. Almost a blink, it's so fast.
I know. All right, and then last but not least, the ultimate for Achilles, Fatal Strike.
Yep. So this one we haven't rolled the passive into this one just because it's a very strong ability as is. So this one was really Smite 1 parity, and that was kind of a tough quest with this one. So same way it works in Smite 1, you get your big dash, you get your charge up, your CC immunity during that, and then you do your dash, you go through everything, well, not walls and all that. You impact gods. If you're able to execute them, you will execute them just like that. If they're not in execute range, you will just damage them. So there are a lot of things to manage in this state. We have the execute visuals up when you're able to execute and they're able to be executed. So that means it's off cooldown, for example, like you've got now, and they're below that 35% threshold. That's when we show it. And then it only shows within a certain range as well. So developing this, there was a lot to manage just to make sure it showed up at all the right times. And then again, when you execute somebody, you can refire it up to 5 times. You can get up to 5 executes. And if that refire times out, essentially, then your ability goes on cooldown. Or if you refire 5 times, execute 5 times, then it'll go on cooldown. As well, if you execute somebody at any point with your ultimate, you'll get a debuff, basically exposing Achilles' heel, or quite literally doing that. And you'll take more damage while that debuff is active. I think it's a 10-second debuff, I want to say.
Yep.
So you'll see that on the debuff bar after you execute someone. And that's all Smite 1 parity. The goal is to make this ultimate feel just as good as Smite 1, just as snappy. Everyone should expect, if you've played a lot of Smite 1, played against Achilles a lot, you should expect the same thing from this ultimate. So real focus on parity for that one.
Yeah, well, those are all the abilities, but Achilles also has an aspect, right, Rowe?
That's right. He has an aspect, and we're going to push him towards the jungle. This was kind of a lighter weight aspect because we had a couple different angles. I approached like maybe Achilles' support aspect, where we'd have to change a lot of his kit to benefit his teammates. But it felt like Achilles, for the longest time, for his whole duration in Smite 1, was just on the cusp of being good in the jungle, but just still felt a little bit too much like the warrior from Smite 1.
Right.
But instead, now we're going to push him towards being more damagey. And we felt like one of the things that was really holding him back in the jungle is that he wasn't able to clear very well. In solo lane, you're able to stab somebody, and that gets you the reset of your 3, so you can stab somebody, or you can dash and stab somebody again. We've added that to jungle camps and jungle bosses now as well. So if you were to go dash and then stab a jungle monster, you get the reset as if you hit another god. And that actually allows you to clear the jungle camps.
Nice.
Yep. And then on top of that, you actually have some increased scaling on that stab as well, with your armor off and your talent on. So if you now mouse over your 3,
Time to get in there and mix it up.
yep, if you mouse over your 3 now and scroll just a little bit, you'll see the bonus damage scaling there as well. So
There
that
we go.
only shows if you've got the talent on, and it only impacts you if you have your armor off. So we're really trying to encourage the jungle playstyle, or the really aggressive playstyle with this aspect of Achilles, to keep his armor off, be squishy, but do a lot of damage. And to, as a trade-off for that, to make sure you're not just getting buffs, we've taken away the protections and the crowd control reduction, so the defensive stats that he gets on his 2. So if you mouse over his 2, you'll see at the top it just says strength highlighted there. It doesn't have the protections and doesn't have the crowd control reduction. So you're quite a bit squishier, and you're encouraged to go into that armor off stance. So you'll stay squishy, but you should deal a good amount of damage. And then I think, there was the one other +1 where if you have your armor off, you'll deal extra damage with your 1 as well. So the idea is increased damage, increased clear, play more like your Smite 1 assassin style, but Achilles. We hope this pushes him to be kind of a viable jungler, where in Smite 1, I think, at least my competitive history, it was always like, you could play jungle Achilles in the early game, but once you got towards the late game, you kind of regressed to that warrior play style and had to put your armor on and just like an execute bot, so to speak, where you just kind of look for the front line and just try to execute the front line. But the idea is you'll be able to play this like full, just dive, kill them, you're dashing fast, you're doing a lot of damage, you're reducing their protections, and just adds that whole nother playstyle.
That's sick. Now, Roy, I saw a question in chat. With the aspect, do you get the extra combat dodge refire for hitting lane minions, or is it just jungle camps and bosses?
Yeah, just jungle camps and bosses, and the gods still, but we're really trying to push him toward that aspect towards the jungle, or just helping your jungle clear. It doesn't have to be the jungle role. We don't want it just to be good in lane. If it was on minions as well, you'd kind of just take it and play this offensive solo laner, and you never even have to hit the god to hit the reset. So we want to make it possible. When you're clearing the jungle, you get your double dash. When you're fighting a god, you get your double dash. Otherwise, you...
Cool. All right. Well, that is Achilles. I'm going to bring us back to cams really quick because, of course, with a new god, we've got a new Ascension pass. So I will go to the menu. We are in dev today, so I don't want to leak anything. So I'm bringing us back to cams. But super excited to get Achilles, another one of the gods that was kind of in that wave 2 for January, but going to be coming in open beta 3.
Yep, yeah, coming very soon as well. You know, we're trying to just, you know, as soon as it's ready, we're pushing it out, that kind of vibe. He's close to being ready. So in theory, you know, he's close to coming out. You guys don't have to wait too much longer.
I know, right? It's been super awesome just being able to deliver so fast with all the God releases.
Yeah, a lot of work, but it's been awesome.
A lot of work, but it's been awesome. All right, I'm going to bring us back to the laptop view here for the Ascension Pass. We've got Shadow Achilles up first, looking tall, dark, and handsome here for sure. And then the first kind of epic tracker is Fatal Strikes, the tried and true one. We got to get this one in. So just the number of executes that you get with Fatal Strike, the ultimate. So definitely looking forward to seeing people rack this one up for sure.
Yeah.
And then we've got your mastery emote. You've got your clap. Yep. Objective destroyed, goddesses. Crowd cheers. So this tracker is the amount of times the crowd has cheered for Achilles. Rowe, what is this for people who may not be know exactly how to trigger this in game?
Yeah, so this was kind of an Easter egg in Smite 1, whereas if you have your 2 buff active and then heal 12 times, you get, it's kind of similar to the arena crowd cheering, but you'll hear in your ears the crowd cheering for Achilles if you heal 12 times with your 2 active. So it's kind of hard to trigger. You have to, 12 times, and it's only 4 max per ability or per use of an ability. So you could heal 4 times from your 1 and then get your dash and stab. You'll hear 4 times from that stab. And if you get the reset, you can get another 4 times equaling 12. And then you'll hear the crowd cheer for you. So that's kind of just exposing this Easter egg a little bit, allowing people to play for it more. And I think it rewards, it encourages people to play Achilles how they should play. To get that 12, you have to get the double stab, or it's much easier if you get the double stab. And we want to encourage and kind of teach people to, when you're clearing the lane in Achilles solo, for example, try to stab the minions and the enemy god so you get the reset, and then stab the minions again, and you'll get your cheer for that, and you'll also get as much reward as possible out of the ability. So we're using trackers as a way to like teach players how to play the gods, as well as just, this is a cool Easter egg, and we want to track how many people are actually, or how many times people are actually getting that Easter egg. I think it's cool.
For sure. Yeah. All right. Next up, we've got Onyx Achilles, the black and gold, looking really good here.
Always my
looks
favorite,
like he's almost got like a galaxy pattern or stars. The way the light is hitting that black armor, it looks really cool.
Yeah, it's like this like obsidian armor. It's awesome. Yeah.
All right. Next up, we've got Opal. I love the purple in the shield. It looks sick.
Yeah. All the shine was always amazing.
All right, and then of course everyone's favorite from the Ascension passes, the global emotes.
We've got the pretty boy.
This is great. This is perfect for Achilles. It fits him so well.
Armor off, of course.
Armor off, yes, all the time. Then you've got your wave. The title is Trojan Hero.
Of course.
Got your God kills, your mastery badge, and then we've got Radiant Achilles for hitting that level 10 on the Ascension Pass. The white and gold looks really slick. And I took a preview before we hopped in the show. The card effects aren't quite done yet. We've talked about it a lot on the show. The card effects are some of the last things to kind of come in as we work on all these God Ascension Pass cosmetics. So once we get to OB3 or once Achilles is out in live servers, we'll have that card effects ready for everybody to use and equip, but not quite ready to show off in dev yet. But I've been seeing a lot of people asking in chat, we're showing off Achilles. We talked about a little bit Rama. You might have seen the teaser in game. So we're showing off Achilles today because Achilles is just a little bit farther along than Rama. And the plan is to open up flash tests tomorrow for Achilles. Rama just needs just a little bit more time in the oven before we're ready to get him out in everyone's hands to start testing. So we decided we didn't want to hold off on showing Achilles while we waited for Rama to get ready. So we're going to kick things off with Achilles first. Have a flash test for him hopefully tomorrow, and then we'll have Rama a little bit later on in the week to show off and to get a flash test going.
Yeah, please just keep an eye out for that flash test. Jump in. If there are bugs, tell me so I can fix them. I want him to have a good strong release without too many bugs. Always a difficult challenge, but please, the more bugs you find, the more you report. That'll help a lot.
Yeah, Cool. All right. And then the last thing that I wanted to call out in the flash test, we talked about it a little bit in the Vegas show, but I'm excited to announce that the Wandering Market is going to be available in the flash test. It's going to have boosted progression just to make sure that we get as many people getting all the coins to unlock all the things that we find. That way we find bugs with the system. So as you're playing in the PTS flash test, you're going to be earning Wandering Market coins at a boosted rate. That's not going to be the same rate that you earn them in live, but we wanted to make sure that people were earning enough coins to be able to buy everything in the Wandering Market. That way everybody could test out all the cosmetics and make sure everything is working properly before we hop into OB3 hitting live servers. So
yeah, helps a lot if you guys can get in there and test.
Yeah. So I didn't run it past you, but I did talk with Killgoon, who I didn't mention at the top of the show. Couldn't be on the show today. He's got some other stuff that he's taking care of, but we did want to show off at least one of the pages in the Wandering Market. I know we've showed off a lot of cosmetics already during that Vegas event, but I think it's about prime time to show off the final skin that we haven't shown in the first Wandering Market. It's going to be on the first page. So I'm going to show off the free page of the Wandering Market that's going to be available for everyone. And I think people may be liking what they see here as I go to the laptop. So we've got Vixen Nemesis going to be available in the Wandering Market on the free page, available to everyone. Lots of people asking for fishnets to come back on Nemesis, but we just upped it all the way to 10 on this one. She's got the fishnets. She's blacked out. She's got the goth makeup going on, and she's looking super sick. I love the purples and pinks here in contrast to the black. It looks so sick.
You could never say we don't listen to the community. I think we're giving them everything they've asked for here.
Yes. So as you're going through the Wandering Market, you will earn these coins that you can be able to get all the cosmetics. This page, everything on it is going to be available to anyone that's playing Smite 2. You do not have to buy into a Wandering Market collection to get access to this free page. So you'll be able to get Vixen Nemesis, a new tracker for Hecate, the amount of gods moved with Hecate's portal. We've got a new badge here, Cosmic Kitty, which is kind of in line with the Amaterasu skin that we showed off. And then we showed this one off in Vegas, but I really love this emote. It's teamwork, cool. Dreamwork. You've got Herc and Thor with the classic handshake. It looks so sick. And then we mentioned at Vegas as well, jump stamps are coming back. We have got the Glorious Gold jump stamp. I love the jump stamps in Smite 2. They've got a little bit more 3D effects to them. Looking
a little
really
more motion as well. Yeah,
a little bit
we've been
more
testing them
motion
in playtest. It's been fun.
As you jump. And then, of course, every page of the Wandering Market is going to have diamonds for you to be able to get with your Wandering Market coins. So you can be able to expect all of this stuff whenever the Wandering Market goes live in Open Beta 3. But I'm super excited for it. I know players have been asking for another kind of progression system to get some fun goodies to equip and show off your personality in Smite 2. So we're super happy to deliver and start testing that in the flash test, hopefully going live tomorrow. So should be really fun. You'll be able to get to try out Achilles and test out the Wandering Market tomorrow in the flash test. So really looking forward to it.
That's right. And actually, I'll say as well, it's kind of in a half-done state, but we will have a lot of balance adjustments in there as well.
Yes.
Some of that will be on the old notes, some won't be, but maybe if you have a keen eye, you'll be able to get a heads up on some of the balance that's coming in that patch too.
Yeah. Cool. All right, Rowe. Well, we are about halfway through the show. We showed off Achilles. We gave a little bit of a sneak peek teaser at the Wandering Market. Flash test coming live tomorrow, hopefully. Keep an eye out on our social media channels and Discord for news whenever you're going to be able to test out Achilles. But let's just open up the floor for questions for the back half of the show. So, chat, what do you all want to talk about today?
See some questions. We did show off the Amaterasu skin in Vegas, right?
Yes, we did. We showed off the Amaterasu.
Do we want to show it again?
Why not? Why not? I'm just going to spoil everything. If I get in trouble, it's chat's fault, but we just got a lot of cool stuff here. So one second, let me bring up the laptop again. So, of course, this is the free page of the Wandering Market. I'm just going to go to page 2. So as we talked about in Vegas, page 2 is going to be accessible to everyone who unlocks the premium version of the Wandering Market collection. So on the second page, we've got Lichborn Mordred, looking sick. Probably cool. My favorite new global emote that we've done. Get in, losers, we're playing Smite 2. It's so fun. Of course, we've got diamonds on the page. Every page of the Wandering Market is going to have diamonds accessible. We've got the Minion Wrangler title. And then we also talked about this at Vegas, but Ascension Pass tokens. So these are going to be available via the Wandering Market. You purchase an Ascension Pass token with the coins that you earn from just playing the game or doing your daily and weekly quests, and you'll be able to get an Ascension Pass token to unlock the Ascension Pass of your choice. So
yeah,
really
such
cool.
good value.
Yeah. And then with that Ascension Pass, you're going to be unlocking diamonds, all the cool skins,
That's
all the
right,
other global emotes. It's just such a great value. All right, moving on to page 3. We have got Hot
Classic.
Stuff Poseidon, the hot sauce looking good. And we actually did preview this page at Vegas, but we've got the Spicy Kraken badge. We've got another jump stamp, hot sauce.
Yep, that splatter looking good.
Again, you've got diamonds on every page. And then another tracker, but for Aladdin, Sultan's Disgrace, the number of times Aladdin has killed enemy gods with Sultan's Grace. And then we've got a card effects on this page. I don't think it's working. Yeah, sorry, chat, it's not working. As I said earlier, card effects, some of the last things to come in. But as you can see in the preview, it's kind of like a pixelated Susano, so it's super sick. And then last but not least, page 4, you've got the Nova Hex Amaterasu, and there's that little kitty that's in the badge from page 1. But this is kind of in the theme with the Lunar Hex Hecate skin. So
Yeah, very cool.
already bumping up those skin lines for sure. We've got a jump stamp here, Touch Grass.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Really just caresses the grass.
Title, It's Giving. A really great title here. We have got Classic Skin token. So another token that you can get to just unlock a classic skin that you see that you might like. And then last but not least, on the last page, we've got a tracker for Mordred in Pursuit. So the total distance traveled by Mordred while he is using Pursue the Weak. So another great tracker that you're going to be able to get on the Wandering Market. Again, pages 2, 3, and 4, only accessible for people who unlock the premium version of the Wandering Market collection. But again, page 1 for every Wandering Market collection is going to be available to everyone for free. So you'll be able to earn those coins and get everything on this page for free. So super sick.
Yeah, it's amazing. We have a ton of content coming in this next patch. And actually, I remember last patch it flashed went live, and we actually went live with a couple aspects as well before we even talked about them.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
The same thing is going to happen tomorrow.
Oh, it's probably going to happen. Should we give them a sneak peek at who's maybe getting an aspect, or should we make them? Should we make people click through every god and see what's going on?
We can't do that to them.
Yeah, I know, right? All right, cool. Rowe, what you got?
Show it off a little bit. So I don't know exactly if they're complete yet. Again, we want to have the complete for the patch release, and we've still got a couple days at the minimum of that to go. So they may be a little bit work in progress, but we are playtesting with them currently, and you'll be able to show them in game. We'll make sure we don't spoil anything from anything else. But Soul and Amaterasu both getting an effect in this patch. So let's start with the Soul one if you want to bring that one up.
Yeah, 1 second.
Sure, and I'll start talking about it. I actually don't remember the name of it, but either way, I know what it does. So Soul, typically in SMITE 1 and SMITE 2's history, very basic attack focused. You mix in your abilities as well. Aspect of Conflagration. I remember when you came up with that actually now. So in SMITE 1, she's very basic attack focused. In SMITE 2, she can crit, she can build these strength items and all that crit, and her playstyle has evolved from there, at least into that direction. This aspect is also evolving the other direction, so her abilities too. So her passive does increase. We can read this out if you want to go ahead, Isiah.
All right, cool. So Soul's Heat provides intelligence and ability damage, but no longer provides strength, attack speed, and basic attack damage. Soul erupts and deals damage around her when she becomes immune from Disapparate. So talk to me about that one, Rowe.
Yeah, so her passive in SMITE 1 and SMITE 2 gives her a ton of stats for this, just to make her a great basic attack god. We're shifting those stats to be more focused on ability damage rather than just basic attack damage. So you can see there you got full heat, and then now when you get to that Disapparate, which is at the end of the duration of your 3, you explode. Kind of thinking about maybe like a Baba Yaga dash where you explode as you jump up. Similar thing here, you explode around you and deal damage. So the amount of intellect you actually get from your passive here is kind of insane. If you think of like Killgoon where you build a ton of int and a ton of mana items, you ended up like 1,000 or almost 1,500 int with some fire giant and some int pots. You can kind of do the same with Soul here at your full int. So your abilities will hit really, really hard, including that new damaging part of your 3. Yep, there you go. So if you hover over the passive aspect or the passive description as well, so just over her tooltip, and then right click that, you can see the intelligence she's getting, and the ability damage is the big one as well.
Yeah.
So you can get really big ability hits. If you hit that, I always called it the Barra combo. I think that was controversial
yeah.
in competitive. But if you hit the two ults, basically you can delete somebody if you're late game. But your basic attacks will do less. Her basic attacks were very strong in Smite 1 and Smite 2 when it came to early pressure and pushing towers down. She will lose that as a trade-off, but the ability to one-shot somebody with the new combo, and especially if a jungler is diving on you, you can use your 3 defensively and blow them up around you and deal that extra damage. If you have a bunch of int from your passive from being full heat, you deal a lot of burst damage there. We had a fun moment in today's playtest. As I said, these things are still in progress, but that was actually damaging allies in today's playtest as well.
So that's not good.
we had Caps killing his own team with
a little bit of friendly fire, right?
That's right. Yeah, but yeah, really, really, really fun. Just pushes her towards the kind of burst intelligence mage playstyle rather than the range basic attacker that she's kind of always been. Changes the way you build, changes the way you play, changes the way you organize your combo a little differently, and when you use your 3, I think that's really fun.
Yeah, that's sick. Shout outs to Pon. Thanks for letting me know that the tooltips were updated. So I hovered all those, so all the numbers are in there, and you'll be able to play out with the soul aspect. I'm going to bring us back to Cam so I don't leak anything while I switch to Amma.
Yeah, so we have one for Amaterasu as well. I'm going to have to remember this one a lot of top of my head, but people are going to find out tomorrow regardless. But we're shifting Amaterasu's identity a little bit with this aspect. Typically, she's this kind of tanky, stick to you a little bit, but just basic attacker. You want to build up the stacks of your 2 to get the big shield damage and dash damage and ult damage. But we're going to shift her towards sticking in that red stance and kind of sticking to our opponent, being a little squishier, but basic attacking more. So you could say this is more angled towards jungle. So if you want to read it out, go ahead.
Yeah, Aspect of Valor. So Divine Presence now defaults to red buff, and when activated, you gain movement speed, haste, and basic attack power in addition to the original effects. It no longer alternates to gold buff or heals you when activated. So yeah, like you said, really encouraging staying in that red stance for sure.
That's right. Yeah, just very, very aggressive. All your offensive stats are being increased there. And when you use it, you'll just get more offensive stats. So really, basically, it becomes a stim at this point. Every time you use it, you get less defensively, but deal more damage. Get a little bit of haste, a little bit of basic attack power, and eventually you'll be dealing a lot of damage with those basic attacks and just sticking to somebody as a jungler or just kind of this assassin playstyle and dealing a lot of damage with your basic attacks. So less tanky, less utility. Nothing for your team as much in terms of like the movement speed that was being granted before, but now just all for yourself. Kind of very selfish, but very powerful for yourself. And you can help by just yourself being powerful rather than helping your team strictly through utility.
Yeah, for sure. This one is looking really sick. You can definitely feel that haste as soon as you hit the 1-2.
That's right. Yeah. The idea is that you'll be able to stick to your opponent, drop them down, you build a lot of attack speed, get a lot of attacks in there. Really fun way to play Amaterasu and just kind of changes her playstyle again. That's what we're trying to aim for these aspects, to introduce new ways of playing existing gods. Maybe if you didn't like Soul or Amaterasu, how they were as a base kit, but the aspect sounds intriguing to you, give it a shot. A lot of these really do change their playstyle, and it feels like this evolution of a god or a new god entirely in some cases that you might just love compared to the base kit.
Yeah, for sure.
And that you'll be able to try out as soon as tomorrow.
I know, right? I'm going to leave this up just for a couple more seconds. That way, I'm sure people will want to get their clips and screenshots, that way they can share it out in Discord or with their communities and stuff like that. So leave that up for you just for a couple more seconds before we get to Q&A.
I guess as part of Q&A, I suppose I just did see a question, any new items, question mark. Again, people are going to open the item store as soon as they get into the flash test tomorrow. So if you want to bring up the item store.
What do we got going, Rowe?
we're bringing over an old Smite 1 favorite. Some people love it. Some people hate it. I love it. People have been asking for it. But if you want to go to one of your protections.
Let's see.
You'll see Mental Discord right there. Yep. So there you go. Basically a port from what it is in Smite 1. But shared protections, cooldown, stun enemies around you when you get below that health threshold. A good defensive option for a lot of gods when you're diving or being dove, but get that that immunity to crowd control, that crowd control cleanse. Basically what it was in Smite 1, people have been asking for it. We're bringing it over. Good work by AJ to get this one in.
For sure. I see people in chat going crazy. They're saying it's back. Thank you. Yeah, this is definitely a super popular item from Smite 1. So really excited for people to get their hands on it in Smite 2 for sure.
All right, and I think that's it. I think that's all that's going to be found tomorrow. Know what you're getting in. Log into that flash test tomorrow, and you know what to test a little bit on the last test. On the last podcast. But yeah, you'll find them, and they are in progress.
Yes, for sure. All right, for real this time, chat. Let's open up the floor for Q&A. We got about 20 minutes left before we got to get back to work and get ready for OB3. Flash test tomorrow, super exciting. So let's hang out for a little bit and take some questions and hang out. Question for Rowe. Why doesn't Achilles' armor change use the interact key?
Yep, I saw that one. We could use it. We decided not to. What we've found in any of our testing where we use the interact key is that immediately people are like, oh, I can't jump. People love jumping. And I played Smite 1 before jumping was a thing. And I came from games like World of Warcraft where I used to just jump around all the time. Not being able to jump, surprisingly disruptive. So we've kept it the same way as Smite 1. It feels good if you want to basic attack while you're in the fountain. You can just right click it away and then you can basic attack. Same as Smite 1. We never really had any complaints there. Whereas if we put it on the interact key, trust me, even I would be complaining that I couldn't jump.
Yeah, I would imagine we didn't want to mess with people's muscle memory from Smite 1 as well.
Yeah,
right?
It's a big thing too. Honestly, if we were to do that, we would have had to do both. And that's kind of, we're just doubling up on the cons rather than the pros there.
Let's see here. Is there a time limit for the Wandering Market to get all the rewards, or does it go away after a while, even if we buy the premium? No, so the plan is for all Wandering Markets to exist forever after they initially released. There's no worrying about having to complete it before it goes away, or if you're missing out, or if you don't have time to play. The plan is for us to keep all Wandering Market collections available for the foreseeable future, barring any crazy UI concerns after we get adding a bunch of Wandering Markets.
Bunch of them. Yeah.
There's a blog on smite2.com that kind of goes over this and a lot of other things with the Wandering Market. So if you want to just go over to the news page on smite2.com and check out that Wandering Market blog, we'll have all the information there for you. Rowe, so what's our plan for dealing with aspects that are just better in every scenario as opposed to the base kit?
That would be a little bit of a fail on our end. Yeah. If that's the case, that just means we've done poor in our balance, which, that's going to happen sometimes. The idea is that we'll address it as soon as possible. We want them to fill different niches. We don't want one to just always strictly be better than the other. There's been a lot of talk about the Humbats one recently. Certainly we recognize that one is quite strong, and we plan to address that one and some balance changes soon. But that's not the norm. At least that's not what we want the norm to be. We just want them to be a playstyle shift. They open up new roles, make more fun and interesting ways to play the character, not necessarily better or worse than the base kit. It'll depend on your role, your preferred playstyle, and things like that.
Cool.
That's the idea. If they are strictly better, we'll address it when we can.
Can you toggle off Achilles' armor off? I don't think we can toggle the armor on/off on the Ascension Pass screen. Had some people asking to, so you'll just have to check it out in game. We do have the ability in this next update to go into practice with skins. You can do that from the loadout screen now, so you'll be able to do that.
Yeah, if you go to your god, go to your loadout, pick your skin, there'll be an enter practice button there, and you're good.
That's a good question. D. Morrigan, our Wandering Market God Tractors retrospective. I don't know that off the top of my head, but I can go ask the team. That's a very good question.
That is a good one, yeah. See some good ideas for new trackers for the Wandering Market, and we've got a backlog of trackers we want to make. We're really glad that we can fit some more into the Wandering Market. It's really cool.
Yeah. Rowe. Njax asks, mages are seriously suffering. Are the scope of mage items buffs being reconsidered, and how delayed the new patch is?
Without spoiling anything more, the short answer is yes. I think we actually talked about it a little bit on the patch where a little bit on the last show. The OB2 patch, we kind of addressed the top mage builds by bringing those down, and we buffed some niche mage builds from the bottom up. The buffs didn't really hit, the nerfs were felt. We obviously need to do a little bit more to help those int mid laners quite a bit. We are still looking into it. There may be some on the flash test tomorrow. There may be more coming. But yeah, we hear you and we agree.
Yep. Yeah, don't have any ETA on when all the balance changes are going to be hitting live servers. Apologies. I know it's kind of stinks having to wait around for it, especially since we've already talked about a lot of stuff, but we're working to get it into live servers as fast as we can.
See some questions about what gods are getting aspects first. We don't have necessarily a built-in order. I think the general rule for us internally is if we have a good idea and we can execute on that idea, we want to put it in the game as soon as possible. We also want there to be some balance. You know, if we just made every ranged attack carry have an aspect, but none of the soul lane, guardians or warriors had an aspect, then it wouldn't feel very balanced. And the players that only played the soul lane versus only played ADC would feel a little uneven. So we want to balance it a little bit. Not always easy to do, but the reality is if we have a good idea, if we have the time to implement it, we will implement it as soon as possible. I've seen talk, and I'm seeing it again, about bringing back Zeus's old shield for an aspect. That one is a little more difficult than other aspects. That's it is a whole new ability. We have technology being built so that we can, first of all, really, really happy that aspects have been so successful. And we're getting more support as well now to be able to swap in new abilities entirely to really evolve the level of some aspects. The Zeus suggestion would require that one. For a demonstration of Achilles, you might have to go back in the VOD just a little bit. We went over Achilles at the start. Yep. See your report about not being able to bind Zoom on controller.
Yes, we are.
That is the first I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the first
I
I've
think
heard of it.
Killgoon talked about it maybe on the show last week, but yes, we are aware, and it's something we're looking into for controller players specifically, not being able to zoom in and out.
And we talked about item builder on the last show as well. Something we all want. It is kind of in the works. There are some extra difficulties that we talked about last week. But yeah, absolutely, we want to get it as soon as possible, and we want to make it better than what it was in SMITE 1.
Can we have different UI for pause and surrender boxes? I see a lot of people saying no to pause because they think it's a surrender vote. That's good feedback. I can take that back to the team and see what they can do. Maybe even just changing the color or something like that, making it immediately apparent if this is a pause versus a surrender. That's good feedback.
Yeah.
Some
comments. Go ahead.
Will we ever be able to go into practice with friends? I believe that is something that the team is looking into. I think we talked about it on the last show that being able to enter practice while in queue is something that the team is exploring as well. So still got a lot of things that we're exploring on the practice front, but I know that's something in SMITE 1 that players are looking forward to in SMITE 2. So we definitely want to make sure that we at least get to parity with the SMITE 1 practice first.
That's right.
And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you have another question, Rowe?
Oh, I was going to address my lack of decor. I'm in the progress of moving into the office, and that's why you see just a tabletop back there. There was a computer and 3 monitors on it yesterday, so in progress. Then I won't have to call in. I'll just be able to come in. See some requests for the stat page on the store as well. I agree. It was useful. Similar case to if you press tab in SMITE 1 and hover over a god or an enemy or an ally, you get to see their stats. Definitely something we want. Long list of priorities for UI team. I don't know where exactly it is on those priorities, but it is something we want eventually, yeah, at least in some way, shape, or form. We want you to be able to see anybody else in their game and see exactly what their stats are when you want to.
Yep. Let's see here. Would we ever be open to changing levels, height, and parentheses on a map? League has some slightly different levels, which could make some interesting scenarios. I think we actually did do so. I don't think we'll ever add verticality to Smite in terms of like just traversing the map. But I know the environment art team and the level design team made a change recently to where they extended some things in the jungle. They raised the height levels a little bit just to kind of to play around with line of sight. So that's definitely something that they're open to continue to do for sure.
Yeah. Sort of question around Bloodbound Book and Bloodforge. In their description, they had kind of this. It was part of a Smite 1 thing from a different item, but that you would heal allies around you for any overhealing of lifesteal that you did. That was something we experimented with at some point with those items, and it was cut in the end, but it was left in the description. So it was actually a bug that was in the description. I removed it from the description recently. That feature itself would have never been working in live. So the fact that it was in the description and no longer is, you're not losing out on anything. That was just a bug fix to take it out of the description because originally it wasn't doing anything.
Is there a limit on the amount of wandering market coins we can get? Can we farm infinite coins just to buy out every wandering market when they drop? So you can keep progressing, but there is a cap on the amount of wandering market coins that you can hold at any given time. Again, there's a lot more information on that in the blog post, but no, you can't just keep farming coins, but you can save your coins for a future wandering market. If there's nothing in this current wandering market that's to your liking, you can earn coins up to the cap and then save them for a future wandering market.
Hard to keep up.
Yeah, I know. Lots of people are hyped for Achilles.
Seeing a good amount of like good bug reports as well. I won't address them all, but it's great after this show. I can go back and watch the VOD. I can see the comments. So we'll make sure we have as much as possible noted down. So I appreciate the reports. And just a reminder as well, we have a bug report form on the website. I think it might just be smite2.com/bug.
Yep.
Or bugs plural. I don't remember exactly. But if you go to that, you can put all the information that comes directly to us. Really, really useful if you want to do that.
Yeah.
There you go, right there in the chat.
See, a lot of people asking about skins. Let me see if there's anything that I can show off. Again, we're in dev today, so I may not be able to bring up the screens for y'all chat to avoid leaking anything. But let me see if there's anything cool that I can show off while maybe Rowe finds another question to answer.
I've seen actually a couple people again ask when we can test skins in practice. We mentioned it just before, but it is coming in this patch. If not the next patch, you'll be able to navigate to the skin in your God loadout, and then the enter practice button will be there as well. So if you just enter practice from that page while selected on the skin, you'll load in as that skin and be able to test it as you wish.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So there are a couple that I can't show off, but I can show off this one because I'm not leaking anything, chat. Seen a lot of people ask about more classic skins that you can purchase with 100% legacy gems. So we do have one coming in the update. And it's Lord Slashington for Fenrir.
An old favorite.
I love these line of skins. The top hat.
Yeah, they're always good. I'm impatient. We need more.
He's got the monocle too. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I can't remember if we ever got to a point in Smite 1 where we had a full team of them.
I think we did.
That was always what we did? Yeah, nice.
All right, gonna bring us back to cams.
See some talk about Pele's +1 and potentially moving it to the interact key or some other solution, because there's been just some discussion around it. not being a strict positive for some players that are used to Smite 1 Pele. I don't have an answer for you right now, but I can tell you it has been something we've talked about a couple times over the last few weeks. We would like to address it at one point. But yeah, your feedback has been heard. We don't have a full solution yet, but that is one we've discussed.
Yeah. Are there any plans to update the God page abilities to make them change whenever you toggle an aspect on or off? That's good feedback. Because I know now in practice, they will toggle, but I'm not sure if they actually update on the God screen.
Yeah, it's another thing we've talked about. When we implemented aspects and first released them, we didn't know how beloved they would be. Yeah. So we didn't want to go, massive on the support and generate just a bunch of tasks and dedicate a bunch of resources towards them. But aspects have been this huge success. So absolutely, we want to support that at one point. But again, it falls on our list of UI priorities. We also want the God builder, we want the stats we talked about, and this. There is a lot to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, for now, the best solution would be to load in to jungle practice, select your aspect there, and then hover over your individual descriptions, and you'll be able to see exactly how they changed.
Yep. Rowe, I see a lot of people asking for more stacking items in Smite 2. I know we have a couple, but something that the team's thinking about maybe?
There's a backlog of items we want to bring. We don't, it's a mix of we want to bring over some Smite 1 favorites like we're seeing with mythological. For this patch, we want to create some new fun things. The brand new items that need a new icon, a new FX, new sound effects, all that stuff take a little bit longer. We would like to add them, of course. We want more items in the game. There are more build archetypes that we haven't necessarily filled, Anubis lifesteal build from Smite 1 doesn't have a full set in stone place in Smite 2. We want to fill those. But really, it just comes down to when we have good ideas, we have the time to implement them. We certainly will. Stacking items, we know players love them, and we'd like to add more to the game eventually. I can't tell you exactly what we're adding in the next patch or the patch after OB3, but we've got a list. Enemy relic down. It became a possibility recently. I don't think we've showed it off yet, or exactly if it's working to 100% in OB3. But we have recently implemented the tech where if you say your ultimate is down with VGS, it'll come up with the timer that your ultimate is down on, like Smite 1. So we've got that tech. Now we're able to evolve that tech and shift it to use it for other things as soon as possible. Again, it's more work. We'll get to it when we can. But slowly, things like saying how long your relic is down and how long for are becoming a possibility. Yeah, they're good ideas.
Cool. All right, Rowe, we are almost at 2:00, so it's time for one more question. Oh, it's not the same when you're not in the room, right? Sweet. Well, we'll let chat fill up just a little bit and take just a couple more questions before we get back to it and get ready for the OB3 flash test, hopefully happening tomorrow.
I guess we'll cover it again, but last week or the last show, we went over a kind of a full patch of balance. It was kind of up in the air when that balance would go live, if it would go out in pieces. Some of it's already gone out now. You've seen, I think, Aladdin and Jingwei, I want to say. Yep. And then we've received some great feedback over the weekend as well. So we want to make some adjustments to those notes. That's why we haven't pushed that patch out live yet. We also want to address some kind of more immediate concerns like Humbat's balance, for example. We've seen a lot of feedback on. So we'll address those as soon as possible. The larger amount of balance will get kind of a shift and get reworked a little bit based on the feedback we got over the weekend and the reactions we got from chat on that day. And we should put together a great package for OB3 and a good amount of balance. I think players will be pretty happy, as well as all the new content, of course.
I see a few people asking if Rama is delayed. So he is not delayed per se. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but Achilles is just a little bit farther in development than Rama right now, which is why we kind of went out of order. I know there's a Rama teaser in live right now, not necessarily a teaser for Achilles. So we decided to show Achilles today because he's a little bit more ready to go and ready to show off and ready for testing, hopefully tomorrow. Rama is still on the docket to come in the next update. If we decide to release Achilles first and hold Rama for the second week of OB3, we'll definitely let you know. But Rama is still in the works and slotted for Open Beta 3. So, and I'll take one more because we already talked about
Go ahead.
that. Let's see. Once there are 50 gods, how can we unlock the rest of the gods for free? That's a very great question. So we will be adding more god tokens past level 50 in a couple of updates. I don't have a hard ETA for that, but I know that is the plan because we know people are playing the game a lot. They're getting their levels. And once we do get past 50 gods, we will be making more god tokens available for each level. That way people can continue to earn gods for free as they level up their account. So
That's right.
cool. All right, Rowe. Well, thanks so much for calling in and coming out on the show. We showed off a lot today.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Achilles, Mantle of Discord, aspects for Soul and Amaterasu.
Yep.
We showed off Lord Slashington Fenrir classic skin. We showed off the entire Wandering Market for Open Beta 3. So there's lots of stuff for players to look forward to in Open Beta 3. And again,
tomorrow,
the plan
really.
is to hopefully get a flash test out in players' hands to try out all that cool stuff. Keep an eye out on our official social media channels and our official Discord, discord.gg/MiteGame for all the flash test news. There's also areas for you to report bugs from the flash test, leave us your feedback on flash tests. The team looks at all that stuff to make sure that we've got a really polished product for you all to get out to live servers. But we'll be back on Wednesday for another edition of Titan Talk. Chat, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. Rowe, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
We will see you all hopefully tomorrow for an Open Beta 3 flash test. But until then, see you all on the Battleground of the Gods. Peace.